Welcome to Happy Vibes Podcast, a podcast about healthy living, relationships, lifestyle hacks infused with a generous dose of yoga, connecting you to your highest self and living your best life. The host of the Happy Vibes Podcast, Tamra, is a certified yoga instructor, healthcare professional, mother extraordinaire, and full-time dog walker to Abby. You can find Tamra on the Happy Vibes Yoga YouTube channel and the Happy Vibes Podcast Facebook page. Please like and subscribe to the Happy Vibes Yoga YouTube channel to be notified of free weekly yoga classes. I am Sean Whitfield, and joining me is the host of Happy Vibes Podcast, Tamra. Hello, Tamra.
Hello, Sean. I'm so happy to finally be back in the recording studio. We tried a couple times to do it remote. It's just not the same.
Well, in today's coronavirus world that we all live in, we're seeing a lot of folks doing a lot of unique things from home, from Facebook Live to the Zoom group meetings or conversations. There's all kinds of creativity going on, but there is nothing like being back in a real world radio recording podcast studio.
It is, and I think it's fascinating how technology has really stepped up and people are embracing it. But it's also nice to realize there's nothing like in real life. One thing I was realizing about, I've been doing some live streaming over Zoom for my yoga classes, but one thing you realize, yoga means to unite, to connect. So it's you're connecting your movement with your breath, connecting your mind with your body, but it's also connecting with each other. So it's a little bit hard to do sometimes, I think, in not real life.
Well, it's been a couple of months since you and I had the opportunity to be in the studio together and do the Happy Vibes podcast together, and a lot has changed. We used to say that we lived a normal life. All of us lived a normal life. Now we're finding out that there's a new normal in life.
There is. So is there anything new that you've been doing to keep yourself occupied, since we seem to have a little bit more time to be quiet and maybe internalize?
I had hoped to have accomplished a lot of home projects and be able to spend some time at home like many folks have been, because businesses have been closed and there's been a lot of executive orders with government officials over the last 5 to 6, 7 weeks. However, my world, the business side has certainly slowed down, but I've not had much free time. I was thinking about that the other day. All these home projects that I thought I was going to be able to get accomplished, I haven't even been able to really get started on. So,
well, the good thing is that's not gone away. It's still there waiting on you.
Well, it certainly is. And so I am definitely going to try to put that as a priority. It's one of those things in life I want to be able to do. However, I am ready to get back to normal business. I miss the opportunities, and I call them opportunities now. I took it for granted. The opportunities that we used to have before the coronavirus, where we could go and have a nice dinner at a restaurant. We could go to a park. We could go on vacations.
You can get your hair done.
We could go to concerts. We could go to salons. Yeah, all these things that
people can touch you in yoga class.
All these things that we used to get to do. And however, it's been kind of interesting and funny to, like today, I saw you walk in with a mask.
It's true, because I'm still actively participating with social distancing. So when
carrying around a container of Clorox disinfecting wipes.
Then your new best friend. Lately, I've been hiking a lot more, which is something I always say in the back of my mind. I'm going to go for a hike. So I actually have been going for hikes now because it's been a little bit boring. And one thing I noticed this past week was a lot of black butterflies.
Now, what type of topography have you been hiking? Have you been hiking like in a nearby park, or has it been at a canyon? Has it been mountainous ranges? Describe it.
It's been pretty strenuous, I would say. We went to, last place we went was Count Falls, which is quite a bit of an elevation. You have to go through really narrow, rocky paths over and around trees. So it's just pretty strenuous, and it was about a 4-mile walk by the time we got done.
So a lot of hills, ridges, cliffs, mountainside.
So it's a good workout, and just being out in nature is really wonderful. But one thing I was noticing were just a lot of black butterflies. And I was with a friend, and she said, I wonder what that means. I'd never thought of it. And I'm one that's always looking for signs. So I'm surprised I didn't think that myself. So we went and looked it up, and there's actually a very unique and significant meaning to a black butterfly, which I think applies to us. You want to know what that is?
Sure.
It means transformation. So the black butterfly represents change, transition, freedom, and rebirth. So like you said, there's a new normal. So it's almost like we're being rebirthed, trying to step back out into the real world again. Mm-hmm. Black is often associated with death and misfortune, but it can be also the death of something bad or negative. Like some of us are seeing maybe not the most healthy relationships coming to an end. And it just gives you hope that you're going to have rebirth. Because while the butterfly is in the cocoon, the caterpillar dies, right? But what comes out is a beautiful butterfly. So it symbolized new life from an old one.
Interesting.
And it can symbolize a new, strong, but subtle life after a period of transformation. I think a lot of people are feeling that after this quarantine. And we're adding up. It's been about 2 months, I think, in our area. We've been on quarantine. Right.
I want to share this quick story. I took some time last week and went over to Enterprise South, which is a nature park here in Chattanooga near Volkswagen. Have you been there before?
I have. So how would you describe the terrain?
There is some hillsides, ridges.
Did you take any pictures? Because or it didn't happen, Sean?
No, I didn't take any pictures.
I'm skeptical.
But it's a beautiful park. It's, I think, 28 acres, something like that. And it's owned by Hamilton County. And I've had the opportunity, I was asked last year to represent District 7 of the Hamilton County Commission, to be a part of the advisory board representing that district of Chattanooga. There's 9 districts in Hamilton County for the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. And so I've learned a lot about the parks and recreation in our area. But one thing that caught my attention, I was looking at the history of the nature park, and I discovered that in the state of Tennessee, there is a flower called the lady slipper. Of course, it caught my attention because I live on Lady Slipper Road.
That's a sign, Sean.
And this lady slipper is a flower that is just about extinct in the state of Tennessee. However, it's found in that nature park.
Wow, I love that story.
It was very interesting.
It is very interesting how there's little signs all over. Like it resonates with you.
So I never knew that there was actually a flower named lady slipper.
I didn't either. Yeah. But that's apparently probably what your street is named from. Are the other streets flower names? Yes,
they are. Now that you mention that is correct.
Wow. Well, our topic today, Sean, is a Sanskrit word, Santosha. So san in Sanskrit means complete and full. And tosha is acceptance, satisfaction, and contentment. So those words together, Santosha means complete, contentment, and acceptance. So do you ever feel like you're undermining your own happiness? I often feel like sometimes we are the sabotagers in our own life.
I normally don't think that deep. That is getting into some deep thought when you start doing that.
We got to dig deep because that's what Happy Vibes podcast is all about.
Is digging deep?
Digging deep and maybe really.
I like the fun part of Happy Vibes podcast.
But that's coming if you dig
I'll leave the deep part to you.
Deep is fun.
Deep
Who wants to
fun?
play in the shallow water when you can dive deep?
All right, I'll try to keep that in mind.
Sometimes it feels like acceptance or contentment is elusive as holding sand in your hand. And you start looking at what are the stories you're telling yourself. They can be really negative, and you're looking through that lens. I think a lot of times we tend to think negatively anyway. So I was studying this, and I kind of went down several different rabbit holes. But one thing you'll hear a lot in the yoga world is yamas and niyamas. And it comes from the book, the Yoga Sutras, which is by Patanjali, who is kind of like the father of modern day yoga. And there's actually some debate on whether or not Patanjali was like one author or several put together. These are just so many ancient texts. But apparently he started gathering them all together so they could have one concise form of these sutras, or yamas and niyamas. So anyway, Santosha is one of the 8 limbs of this yama, not yama.
This can get very confusing.
Oh, it gets very confusing. But in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, it's defined contentment as an inner state where joy and satisfaction exist regardless of one's environment. So a lot of times people want to find happiness outside of themselves.
So where does this type of education come from? Where does
Okay,
it
we're going to
originate?
come back to the topic and not
Okay,
steer
so
off,
I'm
'cause
asking in advance. So, okay.
This type of
I'll
information
wait
comes from podcasts because I'm explaining it to you right now.
Well, I didn't know if it was like something related to Chinese or another type of culture or something
Yoga,
like that.
it has a Hindu background
Okay.
from India.
So you got to remember, there's probably going to be some folks out there like me that this is like a foreign language. So
I think
we're
it's
seeking.
only foreign to Sean Whitfield because I have probably a pretty big yoga audience.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you have a lot of folks listening right now that know exactly what you're talking about. But you may want to pick up a new listener, like a guy like me that is clueless.
Yes, but aren't you interested in more happiness in your life?
Oh, absolutely. This is an opportunity for me to learn.
Okay, so we're always looking at, well, when I lose 10 pounds, I'll be happy. When I buy my new house, when I find the love of my life, right? And there's always the next thing. So we're never quite content, we're never quite satisfied. And sure, it's good to always have goals and things that you want to grow from. But if you have the foundation you're coming from, that you're already content from the inside because it's already there inside of you. And you don't have to look externally for these things to make it happy. I always say it's like Glenda the Good Witch said, it was already there inside of you. So that happiness is there. And you can become an aware and a witness of your thoughts. And like, my thoughts are negative right now. And if you can, we are in control of our thoughts. So you can be an observer of those thoughts and you might maybe reframe it. And so there's several different tools that you can do to reframe that. Would you like to know what they are?
Sure.
Okay, so you can ask yourself, is what I'm saying, is it true? When something upsetting arises, don't deny it. In a book by Byron Katie called The Work, he says that we should question our thoughts and we can uncover what's really true and what is not true. So asking yourself, is it really true? And then the second thing is you can build appreciation. So anytime you focus on what you have and what's in the present moment, what you're grateful for, that I think always evokes more happiness. Because we always have exactly what we need in the present moment. And it's when our thoughts go to the past and go to the future that we can become unhappy. Another one is cultivating curiosity. When we live with curiosity, we let go of preconceived judgments and opinions and open ourselves up to the experience life is in its purity and love the mystery and marvel of life in your role as the explorer. Then, of course, another great hack is on your yoga mat. Because sometimes our yoga instructor will call for us to be in a certain pose that is difficult. And we try to force and twist our body into that. And then we start judging ourselves. But if you can just observe the mind and what you're doing and let go of that discomfort and accept it is for what it is, and then it seems like the pain will ease.
Speaking of yoga mats, it just kind of hit me. Do you
Random thought.
Yeah. Do you prefer to do yoga inside a studio or outside or in a park? Where do you feel like that?
Sean Whitfield, the topic is Santosha.
I know, but I want to know when
and
you.
I see you looking at the clock.
No, I'm
Has
trying.
anyone ever diagnosed you with ADHD?
Hey, I could have it all. But what I'm wondering is, where do you feel like that you get the most out of accomplishing all these things that you're describing? Is there a setting?
So the most important takeaway from this is you do not have to wait for happiness because you have everything you need already right within you. So that's our takeaway for Santosha and feeling contentment. As far as where do I prefer to practice, I prefer anywhere. I practice on my back deck anytime I get a chance. Friday, they started having outdoor pop-ups in the park with Thrive Yoga and Wellness where I teach. That was lots of fun. And then I am looking forward to going back to the studio. Another place I teach is the studio in Dalton, and we are going to have our first class. I will be wearing my mask, and it will be in the studio, and we're kind of sectioning off 6 feet apart with limited class size. But it's just going to feel really good to get back in the studio.
How do you like doing yoga with a mask?
I haven't tried it yet, so we'll see.
The reason I'm asking is I was trying to wear a mask the other day in the gym while I was working out, and I found it very difficult.
It's very difficult, period, to wear a mask. As a healthcare worker, I have to wear a mask all day long. And a lot of people are being asked in the health food service, even in the hair salons, to wear a mask. And so it's just something we have to get used to. And I think it's actually kind of norm in other countries. If you see pictures, they've been wearing masks for a long time.
Well, the reason I bring this up is I've not found it difficult to wear a mask any other time or any other place,
But
other
in the
than when
gym.
I'm in the gym, because you're getting your heart rate up, your breathing is becoming at a faster pace, and I've just found that it was almost at times so uncomfortable that I just had to slide it down under my chin.
Well, that's pretty much what everyone does.
Well,
I'm not
I
talking
didn't
about
know-
myself, but you notice the point is to cover your nose and your mouth, but you go around and you see people and just it's like a chin strap.
Well, I've never done yoga, so I didn't know how much heavy breathing or how much your heart rate got up to where this was something similar to what I've experienced.
Well, I'm
working
sure
out in
it's
the
going to be
gym.
challenging, not the most fun thing to do, but it's worth it right now. I think as a collective, we are not just thinking about our own health, but the health of humanity. So a lot of people who are actually going to be positive for COVID and carriers of COVID will actually never have any symptoms. So if I'm around someone who is low immune system and a high risk person, then I could actually be infecting them without me even having any symptoms. So it's to protect other people as well. So you can't be selfish right now. It's about thinking about others.
Well, I didn't look at it as being selfish. I looked
No,
at
but
it
a lot of people are. They're
as-
getting angry when they're being asked to wear masks. I've seen things on the news that's just crazy. I think this is bringing out the best in people and
I think
also
you've
the
been
worst in
watching
people.
CNN. I've not seen that on Fox News.
That's a debate for a whole nother time. Sean's about to cross a line he doesn't want
That's
to.
for Grandma. But nonetheless, it's I find it interesting. That's why I had to ask.
Well, it's really interesting talking about Santosha today, and I hope you're able to take a few takeaways and hacks that will help you with your own happiness and journey in life, Sean.
Well, thank you for sharing the story about Santosha.
So that concludes this episode of Happy Vibes Podcast. Our next episode will be on the chakra system, so please join us then, and namaste.